Ladies and gentlemen, children of the interwebs out there, Sebastian Envy, strong style cinephile. Mortal Kombat was released on HBO Max, and that's in a word. Yeah. So let's geek about it for a scant few minutes, only a scant few, because there's not much to talk about in this movie. Now, I got hyped along with a lot of other people, I'm sure, when we saw the 7-minute preview of the opening scene of the film with some of the backstory of Hanzo and Bihan slaughtering all of Hanzo's people and killing his family and thus killing him. We don't get to the reason why, and that's it's cool, the scenes that we got, but it was kind of, I think, one of the mistakes of the movie, where it's like, if you go into this movie as a casual observer, not knowing the lore, then you're kind of like, why are they doing some of the things that they're doing? If you go in knowing the lore, then you're kind of annoyed at some of the things that they're doing. So it was just, I know you're not going to please everyone, especially when you're adapting a video game, because they just have a history of them sucking, but this was just inferior to the first Mortal Kombat movie. Yes, this Mortal Kombat movie was inferior to the first Mortal Kombat movie. And so there's a third or second child of Scorpion that was hidden before the mom and the son were killed. She was secreted away by Raiden, raised in under protection, and thus his bloodline continues through the ages to our main character Cole, who's a crappy MMA fighter. He gets called in on short-term notice just to get his face beaten, basically. He is our hero. He is the everyman sort of introduction to this world of Mortal Kombat. Turns out he has a mark on him that determines he is a champion of Earth. The idea is there's a tournament coming. Shang-Tsung's like, screw the tournament. We've won 9 times. We're going to cheat to win. And we're going to kill Earth's champions before they have a chance to get to the tournament and have a fair shot of winning. That's the gist of it. Along the way, you have to have these champions find their find their inner superpower to help them in the battle ahead. So there's some montage training sequences along with that were kind of like boring. I mean, the fights in this movie as a whole, and that's the one thing. If the story sucks, if it's just lackluster, if the characters aren't that good, then you need to have just kick butt fights. This movie, not so much. Now, main character Cole Lewis Tan, he's a supporting character at best. That is his ceiling right now. I mean, I'm sure the guy's a pretty cool guy and everything. He was great in Wu Assassins, and because he was a supporting character. He's in Into the Badlands. He's not the main character, and that's his lot in life right now. So having him as the person that's supposed to draw us into the story, make us care about him and his struggle and his efforts to protect his family, his efforts to learn his inner superpower and all that kind of crap, it just didn't work. It fell flat. A lot of this movie fell flat. Mehcad Brooks, who played Jimmy in Supergirl, having him as Jax, I didn't like that going in, and watching it happen on screen, didn't like it. The dude playing Kano, he was funny. That was like the best part of the movie. Surprisingly, he was like the best part of the movie for me. Of course, he knew he wasn't going to be on the side of the Angels for a while. Of course, he pulls the eventual heel turn, and him and Sonya have their tete-a-tete, so that was like, okay. The chick playing Sonya was okay. And then the total waste of Scorpion. He was in the beginning, and then he comes in at the end as like a Deus Ex Scorpion. Like, it just... Outside of Liu Kang, he is arguably the face of the franchise, and to have him so underutilized in this film was criminal. Again, if they're like setting up for something bigger in the sequel, like you make the movie for you make the movie for the moment. You don't make it unless you have a ironclad guarantee of a sequel. Not just you have actors who sign on for 3 movies or 4 movies or whatever. They sign on for stuff should it happen. But if you, as a studio, as a director, have an ironclad guarantee that you will get another movie, then you can do the stuff that they did in this movie. But if you don't, which I don't believe that they do, then you make a movie for the moment. You make it enjoyable for the moment. You want people to go in, leave their brains at the door, have a good time in the 2 hours of just seeing stuff happen on screen. That's what you make the movie for. You don't make it so you throw a whole bunch of stuff at them that will make sense in a movie you might get 2.5 years from the moment they're watching that movie. That's stupid. That's dumb. And that's what they did here. A lot of this stuff in here was okay. A lot of it was, there's a lot of exposition, a lot of talking to set up kind of things going on, but it felt like setup. That's the thing. And it was ironic because Ludi Lin was in the Power Rangers movie, where a lot of that movie was a setup for a sequel that never came. This movie is a setup for a sequel that may or may not come. I mean, of course, they can kind of fudge the numbers with the studio bean counters to say that this hybrid release on HBO Max and in theaters would have like affected the overall box office. And it remains to be seen what the overall box office is, which we know it's going to be down from what it normally is. But to kind of look at what those numbers are, they can kind of say, hey, if we put these together, we'd have a successful movie. Is that going to work? Who knows? Will they be able to eke out a sequel by going smaller and more intimate and cheaper? Because, I mean, usually sequels, you go bigger and larger and more expensive. The first movie's success, you just dump a whole bunch of money into the sequel, and you expect to go further. That's just how it works. Here, in this case, it might have to go in reverse just for us to be able to get a sequel. We get Shang-Tsung, a couple scenes, we see him do his soul-sucking, gimmick, but he doesn't do anything towards the end. It's just a lot of, like, his, you got Cabal and Melina, and another dude with a big hammer. I'm not hugely familiar with the lore, so I don't know who he was. They're thrown in there just as fodder to have some fights, which, again, they just weren't very good fights. Period. Ludi Lin, like the guy. He's playing Liu Kang. Liu Kang is like the main dude of this franchise. The Ryu, the Captain America, just the main dude of this franchise. He was kind of sidelined, and he was in a boring role. The guy playing Kung Lao. It's cool. Visual's cool. I liked his, he's basically wearing Captain America's shield on his head, and he uses it as such. But he was boring. It just, so much of this movie was just what could have been. What ifs and what could have been, which is really disappointing, because who knows if they will get another crack at it. It's just video game movies have long since just been mired in suck and mediocrity. And this looked, from the trailers, to be a step in the right direction, a step out of the muck of past video game movies, and it just wasn't. It was cool out of the gate for the first 7 minutes, and then it was downhill from there, and it was just meh. Meh-Tal Kombat. That's just what it was. Some people will enjoy it. I think it depending upon your level of expectation going into the movie will lead to how much enjoyment you get from this movie. I had high expectations of it. I was disappointed. Again, the first movie is superior to this. It's a cheese fest. But it's just, from the story standpoint, how they incorporated the tournament, some of the actors in it, they were just superior to this movie. And that's disappointing, because it's like we had all this time to learn our lessons from those past movies, from those past video game movie failures, and we didn't. We have better special effects, better technology, we have better right now than we did in, I think, 1997 when the first Mortal Kombat movie came out, and yet that movie is still better than this one, by far. So, I mean, is what it is. It's just meh. It's just my assessment of it. Yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts on it. Scattered as they often are, but you guys out there think. Let me know in the comments below. Follow me on social media. Mortal Kombat's on HBO Max. It's in the theaters. Where did you go see it? Did you see it at home like I did? Did you go to the theater and venture out into, the world to see it? I'm kind of curious to see how many people that I know do that. So we'll see. Anyway, until next time, let's geek.